Hello everyone, my name is Samuel Burdick and this is our group presentation on rabies for Biology 221. My part is transmission and signs and symptoms. First, I will begin by discussing the transmission of rabies. All mammals are susceptible to this disease, while rabies in the USA are most commonly identified in raccoons, skunks, foxes, dogs, and coyotes, with the number of animals infected decreasing annually. The transmission of rabies begins when saliva of the infected host is passed to an uninfected animal. I will use the example of the picture on the slide of the dog biting the human to discuss the transmission of rabies. Most commonly, the transmission begins through a bite. And then, once bitten, the virus replication in the muscle at the site of the bite begins. And the virus infects the nerve in the peripheral nervous system and then moves by retrograde transport. From there, the virus replicates in dorsal root ganglion and travels up the spinal cord to the brain. Once the brain gets infected, it begins to swell, and the virus travels from the brain via nerves to other tissues such as the eyes, kidneys, and salivary glands. The CDC reports that human rabies cases in the United States are rare, with only 1 to 3 cases reported annually. 34 cases of human rabies have been diagnosed in the United States since 2003, in which 10 cases were found to have contracted infection outside of the United States and its territories. The number of human deaths in the United States attributed to rabies has been steadily declining since the 1970s due to animal control and vaccination programs, modern rabies biologics following exposure, and successful outreach campaigns. One of the less common transmission types of rabies would be the mucous membrane through the eyes, nose, or mouth, aerosol transmission, or the corneal and organ transplantations. Next, I will be discussing the signs and symptoms that are associated with rabies. First, it's important to understand that the signs of rabies and the symptoms of rabies vary, and there is a difference. The book describes it as a simple way to think about the difference between signs and symptoms is to think of a symptom as something the patient experiences and signs as something the healthcare professional can see, hear, feel, or smell. So beginning with the symptoms, they are flu-like initially, with general weakness, discomfort, fever, or headache, followed by itching, prickling at the site of the bite. Next would be the signs of rabies that are displayed in cerebral dysfunction, anxiety, confusion, agitation, delirium, abnormal behavior, hallucinations, and insomnia. The acute period of rabies is 2 to 10 days, and once the clinical signs appear, at this point the disease is almost always fatal. You can see at the bottom of the slide I added a picture that correlates how to identify rabies with the popular topic of zombies. In 2013, Medical Daily did a report published, Zombie Apocalypse Raises Public Awareness of Rabies and Disease Risks. They said in the report that in particular, public health researchers at the University of California, Irvine are interested in milking the American public's familiarity with The Walking Dead to explain infectious diseases like rabies. One of the reasons I think that they try to use this source is because the zombie culture or apocalypse or The Walking Dead show, those are becoming so popular now that the CDC and universities are able to use those to help people identify the signs and symptoms of rabies. One of those examples would be that both rabies and zombie pandemics are spread primarily through biting. Another example could be that when affected by rabies, human movement is irregular. Muscle spasms and convulsions accompany numbness and loss of muscle function. Although their physical ability varies in media, the zombies we are familiar with generally have a distinctive hobbling gait. Rabies causes difficulty swallowing because drinking causes spasms of the voice box. Zombies largely lack the ability to produce any sound other than a deep groan.
My name is Justin Evanen, and this is the etiology and the reservoir of rabies. The etiology of rabies is a bullet-shaped, single-stranded RNA virus in the family Rhabdoviridae, genus Lyssavirus. The virus itself is actually surrounded by a lipoprotein, as you can see in this picture, the envelope right here, and then right in here is the RNA. As of right now, there are at least 6 other Lyssavirus species that are known to actually cause rabies. As far as the reservoir for rabies, basically all mammals are susceptible and are major reservoirs for the virus. In this picture that is taken from the CDC website, it kind of shadows out the most common animals in these areas that end up carrying this virus. The most common ones that carry it are going to be dogs, skunks, raccoons, foxes, bats. They're probably some of the more common reservoirs for rabies, according to the CDC. The rabies virus does not survive for very long outside of a host body due to its envelope making it prone to damage from environmental effects such as ultraviolet light. So the virus itself is very dependent on hosts. Typically, it's going to be wild animals are the most common reservoirs.
Hello, my name is Lupita Acevedo, and I will be talking about rabies, treatment, and prevention. Rabies, treatment, and prevention. So just like any other wound, scratch, bite in your body, the first thing you want to do is wash the area thoroughly under running water and soap. After you have washed the area, you want to use an antiseptic or alcohol to make sure you disinfect the area really well. You don't want an infection to grow out of the bite or wound in your body. You want to leave the wound open. You can put a dressing on top of it, but don't try to stitch it up or add pressure in the area because that can actually lead to the rabies virus to go up into your nerves faster and head into your central nervous system. And you don't want that. You don't want the virus to reach your brain as soon as possible. You want it to help it not go into your brain as soon as possible. So after that, you want to go to the hospital. You want to go and get things that will help your body fight off this virus. So after you go into the hospital, you will probably see this name. Rabies immunoglobulin. So rabies immunoglobulin is a vaccine that helps protect you against the virus while your body is developing the antibodies after receiving the vaccination. So what happens is you have taken the rabies vaccine when you were a child, so it's been in your body for a long time. But since we don't often get bitten by animals, it takes longer for our bodies now to recognize that you have rabies by a rabid animal. So rabies immunoglobulin shoots up antibodies so it can start fighting off the virus before your body actually knows and reacts to the virus. So immunoglobulin works by providing a ready-made antibody that neutralizes the rabies virus and helps prevent the virus from spreading. So what is inside the rabies? So what does rabies immunoglobulin have? Rabies immunoglobulin is a passive immunization vaccine, meaning that it gives immediate antibodies to our body, but they are short-lived. Short-lived vaccines can go from a couple of weeks to 3 to 4 months. Humans' rabies immunoglobulin is given in a vial size of 500 IU, international units. Each milliliter contains 40 to 180 milliliters of human protein, of which 95% are gamma globulins. This product is made from plasma from screened donors selected from the United States. I found this very interesting that the vaccine for rabies is made from plasma. I always related plasma to donating blood, saving 3 lives, helping during surgeries or car accidents, but I never thought that plasma can make the vaccine to help other people when they have rabies. So the vaccine is given close to the infected area, The dosage that's recommended is 20 IU kilograms for all the ages. The half-life of the vaccine is about 21 days. So on your first dose, you take it on your first day. The second dose, you will take it 7 days after the first dose, and the third dose you will take 21 days after the first dose. Prevention and control. So there's simple ways that we can prevent and control rabies. The most simple way of preventing rabies is vaccinating your dogs. I know we cannot vaccinate all the dogs in the world, but we can start with our own. So in case they ever attack somebody, we know they're not going to have rabies because they haven't vaccinated for the virus. Another thing is educating the people that are most at risk and teaching them how to treat the wounds. So we can educate people by telling them, if you see a dog that has foaming in the mouth, has red glassy eyes, don't get near. He might have rabies and he will attack you. We can also teach them how to treat their wounds. Wash them with soap and water and get the best medical attention that you can find as soon as possible. Another thing is not feeding wild animals. And it reminds me a lot of the times that I go to the zoo and they have like signs that say don't feed the wild animals, but there's still that one person that always feeds the animals. Report stray or ill animals to animal control. You want to report any animal that you see because it is a danger for other people around there that probably have not seen the animal. So by reporting it, you might be helping someone save their lives. I found this very interesting. Most cases of rabies occur in African and Asian countries, and it is estimated that 55,000 people die every year of rabies. From those, 65% occur in Asia and 44% occur in Africa. So these are simple and quick ways to prevent and control rabies, and hopefully this has helped you guys out.